Hello, NatiCasters. You are in for a treat on this episode. Our guest, Angela Powell, is a diva, in the true sense of the word. A classically trained opera singer, Angela has performed around the world. And that is just the beginning of a remarkable and varied career in the arts. To us here at the NatiCast, Angela will always be known as Angel. We grew up together at the School for Creative and Performing Arts, where she and I graduated in the class of '86, along with Rex and Ron. In fact, she was the president of our senior class. As we will learn in our interview, Angel returned years later to become the artistic director at SCPA, along with a host of other accomplishments in music performance, arts education, and leadership. We had a great time catching up with Angel and are so happy to share her amazing story with you all. Angel, welcome. It's wonderful to have you in the studio.
It is wonderful to be here, Tim. Lovely.
That's what I mean.
And that's the end of our professional radio introduction of Angel.
Anyway, hi.
Now, but on a serious note,
yes.
To bring it into the, we know each other from Cincinnati, but were you in fact born there? Where is that?
Yes.
What part of town did you grow up in?
Yep. So, Angela Powell Walker, and I grew up in Avondale. I'm from the Avondale area of Cincinnati, Ohio, and I went to Union Baptist Church. I was very much so a Cincinnati girl. Everyone here at the table, Ron and Rex and Tim and hey Matthew, we all went to the School for Creative and Performing Arts together. But before then, I was at Burton Elementary, so I went there till sixth grade.
See, I didn't know this. Where is Burton? Is that in Avondale?
Well, it's in Avondale, but it was in Avondale.
Oh.
So it's demolished now. The building is gone. It's no longer part of the SCPA school system, but it was there for a long time. Serviced a lot of children in the Avondale area. I lived on Lexington Avenue, right off of Victory Parkway. Great little area there.
See, now I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You lived on Lexington.
I did.
Yeah.
You lived on Lexington?
Like years later.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, wait a minute. That was you.
But when you said that, I was sitting there thinking, oh, yeah, Robbie lived. I knew Lexington.
Yeah. So, neat little fact about our neighborhood, it was where Doris Day was born and grew up. So I always knew that about our neighborhood. Okay.
Wow.
Kind of cool. Anyway, Doris Day, once I had a secret love. Anyway, so then I went for performing arts from 7th through 12th grade.
So did you...
7th, okay.
Yeah, so just talk about how you end up from growing up in Avondale. Mm-hmm. Was your sister there already?
So my sister was one of the first group of kids to be at SCPA. So
right.
She was before they were in the old Woodward building, she was in all the other spaces that they
Was she in Mount
school.
Adams? Did she do the original Mount Adams
She was
one?
She was one of the
Right.
originals. And so she graduated from performing arts in 81.
And you weren't tempted to come in at the 4th grade? You wanted to stay
No,
and finish
because I was, being a superstar at my elementary school, playing Miss Cratchit and all of the Christmas carols.
I wanted to start over.
I was the first 4th grader to ever get the lead in the musical. So now I'm not leaving my school.
You owned that place.
I own that Burton Elementary. No, but honestly, I'm one of 6 siblings, and we all were at Burton. So it was sort of a rite of passage to graduate from that school and then go on to the next place. So it was wonderful. Another thing that a lot of people would probably like to know is that Kenny Smith, who was a really big guy at the Performing Arts School in the musical theater program, used to do a summer music theater program at Southern Baptist Church. Oh. And he would bring people like Alton White and, all of them, Daryl Miller, Roscoe Carroll, all those guys.
All the original
group, and they would come and perform in Avondale at the Southern Baptist Church at the top of Lexington Avenue. And, I'm this little girl going, oh my God, what is that? This is so amazing. This is incredible. But I still have to be Miss Cratchit in my 4th grade. So.
It's not incredible enough that I'm going to leave
Not enough that I'm leaving, that's all I'm saying. But so no, Kenny was like, nope, you're coming to the school. So he taught me a song. What was that song? Man, I used to annoy my husband singing all the time. Now I can't remember what it was. But he taught me... Is this the little girl I carried from Fiddler on the Roof? And so I sang Sunrise, Sunset. Phew, man, my sunset is coming out. So he taught me the song. I auditioned for the school, and I got in for creative writing.
Nice.
So wait a minute.
I'm not a writer.
You couldn't write her.
Just so we're clear, because this voice didn't just get trained at the Performing Arts School.
Right.
You rolled in there being able to sing, obviously.
Well, yeah, I grew up in church choir. I did the youth choirs at Union Baptist Church. I've sung. I've always sung.
I mean, forgetting music theater or a drama major, I can't believe that you rolled in the 7th or 6th grade, interviewing for 7th grade, and sang Sunrise, Sunset, and they're like, no, we're going to pass on that.
We're going to pass. So we're going to go ahead and make you a creative writing major. And I guess I wrote some wonderful things, and they thought, hey, this girl's got a good career at writing scripts or something. And you've been in a couple of my written script projects, if you don't remember.
The senior project of Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. And Tim, I believe you were in the Western, the old Western that I wrote. It was Billy Bad, Billy Badge, Billy Bud, Billy Bop, Billy Boop. Everybody's named Billy something.
Fastest 6-shooter in the West.
There you go.
Well, somehow I think that was more thought out than our Boogie Nights one.
No, Boogie Nights was, oh God, we have a project due tomorrow. Let's do it. So I wrote it. It was perfect.
She wrote it.
Boogie Nights.
And it was in the theme of like one of the blaxploitation films.
Exploitation films.
Yes. We were all supposed to be
complete with the exposed bulb.
Yes.
And I'm in jail. I'm in jail without the bail. See, you got it. You remember? So maybe I should have stayed a creative writing major.
Right?
I should have stayed one. But no, I got all my writing out in acting lab and things like that. But after my 7th grade year, for maybe the first 4 or 5 months, it was pretty obvious that that's not the direction I was going to go.
Sitting quietly in the corner and writing was not your forte.
Was not my forte. So then Frank Lang came along and was like, "You come here," and I sang.
I can still hear the snaps. The snaps.
Yeah, and then he proceeded to stick myself, Cindy Listerman, and Julie Hahn in a corner and called us Blend Destroyers.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Wow.
Good times.
My favorite Frank Lang line to April Nixon after some horrible thing was where he looked at her and said, "I'm really glad I didn't vote for your uncle."
And you killed it. You were cast, and that all just blossomed and bloomed.
Oh yeah. So I always wanted to. I just wanted to do it, and I've always had that urge to be like, I'm going to be the next Broadway star. That was like this thing
Is that what you? I mean,
that's what I really wanted to do.
Was like musical theater.
Musical theater. That was it. And then I had the opportunity to switch over to the top choirs, and I was with at the time Deborah Berry, who is now Deborah Centers, and
were you doing acting at the same time then?
Yeah, so I did acting lab. I was with Miss
Haas.
Miss Haas.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I always confuse the Haases there, but Miss Haas. So. And I was in the first show I was in was with you, Imaginary Invalid, and I played Angelique.
Yeah. And by the way,
Tim
was in
Tim was in it.
Yeah.
That was my very first show, and I was a lead in it.
That was?
Wow.
Yeah.
That show, I just was talking about it the other day. I don't know why. To my mother, I was like, it was the most insane interpretation
of Moliere that you could ever have.
Yeah, I was saying words I didn't even know, man.
Yeah, it was great.
Like,
so I got a great
carrying around a large syringe, right? A very large syringe.
But to this day, Ron Thomas, I call him Thomas Diafoirou.
To this day, yes, indeed.
Yeah. Well, I have the poster from the
No.
show. I do.
Wow.
I have the poster. I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Wow.
But
I think I
yeah.
have a
Miller.
picture too.
Matt Miller. Matt Miller.
That huge book, remember, with La Buca.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And the-
Kovacs with the stick.
Yep.
Wow, that was your
and
first
the
show.
mimes. Don't forget the
Beth
mimes.
Larson,
Oh my God.
Beth Larson
Yeah.
miming.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then, wait a minute. Was that you? Who ran around with the chamber pot toward the end?
Alice Port.
That was Alice. Okay.
Oh my God.
Alice.
What was that song we were playing?
So we're up on that stage though, and I'm sitting here thinking about this. I don't think it made any sense to anybody. It was
Yeah.
complete. I mean,
It was
it was
nonsense.
either brilliant or it was complete gibberish, and everybody walked out and tried to pretend like it was good.
The thing that just made it so quirky or ingenious, depending on who you're talking to, is the addition of things like having live statues that were mime artists and having oversized props to represent things within the play that, when you're normally doing a play, they're just not there. So,
And you
yeah.
normally go from the script. Like we would interject these
Right.
crazy
Yeah.
chants and
Yes, yes,
songs
yes.
and
But they were
But
based
then
on the subtext.
Latinize all of that
Yes.
stuff too.
based, on,
Like,
the, based on the subtext. I love that. That was,
Yeah,
it was
I got you, Miss Haas. And they don't know what they were talking about.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was my first show. So the Imaginary Invalid, it was, and I just, I was like, this is just amazing. I really love this, and this is what I want to kind of do. But I'm really a singer, so how do I also get to do that end of things? So not only did I, we do our dramas and things like that, but I made sure I did everything tech, so I could be around the world of. I would usher for a show.
Right.
I would be yelled at and told to get out from backstage because I wasn't supposed to be there, because that was, that just the love of the everything theater. And I was like, I'm going to do this, man. I'm going to be up in the artistic director's face so they know who I am.
Was that our freshman year or sophomore year?
Freshman year.
Okay.
And,
So, just so
No. That was sophomore.
Sophomore might have
For
been our-
Imaginary Invalid?
Imaginary
Yeah.
Invalid. Tim, anybody?
No, it was
the four.
sophomore.
I thought it was freshman year.
I didn't do sound freshman year. That was
You
my
know
first
what?
year. It wasn't
Are
until my
you
sophomore
sure?
year
Because
that I got
think,
into tech.
I could have swore I was in junior high when we did that show.
No.
You see? Revisionist history,
And,
people.
and you know what? The connection you just made for me?
What's that?
Just this instant.
Just this instant.
And I just talked about it. The music playing was Handel's Water Music and the chamber pot.
Oh,
All these years, I
See?
never
There you go.
connected
Genius.
that.
Genius.
Yeah.
genius. Yeah, no, I think it was our sophomore year,
Yeah.
and just kind of for everybody.
Imaginary
the
Invalid?
four of us
Yeah.
were all in acting lab together, right? We were all
Yeah.
graduated
Well, not
in
me.
'86.
Right.
Well, you weren't in
Yeah.
acting lab, but we
But
were all
I
graduated
did sound
in '86.
for the show. Yeah.
Okay, so my previous statement of it was the first show I was ever in was a total and utmost lie.
Oh,
That's what I was
Because I could have swore it
couldn't
was like 8th grade when we did
No.
that.
No.
Did you not audition for a musical? Were you not in like The Wiz or?
So that was my
she
7th
was-
grade year. My sister played Annie M when they went
That's
to
what I was
the
gonna say.
National
Yep.
and you weren't
Theater.
in it at all.
No, I was not sure.
Oh, I ran follow spot for The Wiz
Right.
that went up to Washington D.C.
Washington.
to the National
Right.
Theater. Were you?
Well-
and you were in that, Tim? You were.
I
in
was
that?
the leader of the
Munchkin,
Mice Squad.
He was the Mice Squad leader.
All right.
Yep.
There you go.
But see, at that time, you guys had been there. I was new to the school.
No.
I was
Right.
just trying to make my way into the popular kids space zone
So
and all that stuff.
7th grade was my first year as well. We came together.
Really?
I graduated from Sands.
I
Must
know.
be 'cause
I
you're
was always
dad.
shocked by that.
Okay, so now I know it was, now I know how you got
but
it.
see, we were exactly. I had an inside.
It's that. It's that.
Because the fact was we were around right that whole
Yeah, you were
time,
around.
even before 4th grade. Like your
Yeah.
sister's grade, all of those kids, we were little kids running
Yes.
around the
Yeah, yeah.
school. As
Yeah.
Dave Stahl's
Yeah.
kids running around. Yeah.
Theater rats.
So then, so to kind of jump here, that all goes down. You got Broadway in your sights.
Mm-hmm.
When you graduate, do you go to New York, or where does opera kind of come in, or does things change at Oberlin, or like what happens at that transition?
Okay, so again, back to Debbie. She, a phenomenal teacher, and she said, Angel, I'm going to take you to your college auditions. And we went to Indiana University, and we went to Oberlin College. And she was like, either one of these, let's figure it out. And I auditioned for both, got into both schools. I chose to go to Oberlin just because of its reputation. It's just a phenomenal school, and they paid me to go there, so it was great.
That's awesome.
So my freshman year there, I had a phenomenal teacher by the name of Beverly Rinaldi, and basically she just knew how to work with me. She was like, okay, well, we can do this musical theater piece, but I want you to learn this opera aria too.
Wow.
So it wasn't, you went there, what was your when you got accepted?
I just went as a vocalist.
Vocalist.
Yes, and at Oberlin, you sort of, it's all basically classical, but every winter term project, everything, I did everything musical theater at Oberlin as well. But my studio was to learn vocal technique, right? So Beverly was amazing about it, and she was like, okay, well, yeah, that's really good. Oh yeah, you can learn that jazz tune, because I used to sing a lot of jazz clubs, and that's great, but why don't you now learn this aria? Okay, great. Okay, well, now I'm going to take you to this competition, but you have to sing this aria. And then I'd go, okay.
So that's how she pushed you into it.
And she pushed me into it, and I was like, opera, bleh, fat lady singing, bleh. And then you're like, that statement was created by a baseball player that knows nothing about opera. And I was like, interesting.
Is that true?
It's true, yeah.
Right.
It was some baseball guy, I forget who it was. Somebody
Probably
famous
Yogi
said,
Berra.
it's not over till the fat lady sings.
It's
that's Yogi.
It sounds like a yogi.
That's and it's just ridiculous, because most opera singers are more fit than any football player would ever
And
be.
half of them are dead by the end of the opera anyway.
I never survived the operas. I don't think I've ever survived.
I mean, most of the operas I see now, admittedly, I fell asleep a couple times in them, but a lot of times there's a lot of death going on in there. So
I shouldn't say this, but a lot of times when I'm looking at an opera, I fall asleep too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not my art form. My art form was musical theater. I love Broadway. I love big and bold and loud. And
what about
opera,
church? Did you sing in church growing up?
Yeah, I did the Union Church, Union Baptist.
But that's when you sang gospel.
But Union Baptist Church was, you could sing a little bit more legit, but I also sang in groups like Kenny Smith, who we had talked about at one point, ran Peace and Serenity, and then Mark Jones had a group called Prosperity at SCPA, and I sang in both groups, but then I sang mostly in Prosperity.
Because you were the blend destroyer, they tried to push you into
well, hey.
put you up front.
But,
you're going to have to go
but
up front.
at that time, even at SCPA, I realized I never had that belt that was required for especially African-American female singers.
Right.
Like I'm not that type of singer. I was more that legit classical head voicey kind of sound. So my voice honestly supported the classical genre more than it does the musical theater genre. Now, you learn to manipulate your voice, you learn your technique, you learn how to use it for all the different styles, but...
And it's fascinating. They get you up to Oberlin, and it's your teacher who's... You're literally trying to pull in one direction, and they're like, that's great, but this is where you need to...
This is where your voice
well,
really
with
fits.
a name like Beverly Rinaldi, she had to be the main...
She's an amazing teacher.
But the other thing is you could take 10 musical theater performers who could never sing opera. Right. You could sing musical theater, but you could sing it, right? I mean, so it's not every musical theater performer could go over and sing an opera.
Correct. And you'll find that there's a lot of trained opera singers that do go, like Audrey McDowell, Donald.
Audrey McDonald,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Musical theater. She went right into it, but she's a classically trained singer.
And I think a lot of shows, like when they came out, like the Sandra Lloyd Webber shows, or Phantom of the Opera,
that requires more legit singing, right? Yeah.
Angel, did you see I think Randy Donaldson was he was producing or trying to get
the Marian Anderson.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in conversation with him. I'm trying to get where I currently work, the great Howard University, to help with producing that and getting that up and going, and maybe on Broadway. So there's more work to be done with that. So it's at the very beginning stages. Like, can we just set up a meeting, people?
Let's back that up a little bit so everybody knows.
Maybe
who
leave
all
that part
is.
out, Matthew. What'd you say?
Let's back that up a little bit so we know who that is.
So Marian Anderson is a phenomenal, or was a phenomenal opera singer back in the day. She was one of the first ones. She was supposed to sing. Let me get my story right. The Daughters of the
Revolution.
Daughters of something.
Daughters of the Revolution. Is that what we're looking at?
Daughters of Will Chamberlain.
I don't.
A lot of those.
Dennis Rodman's daughter's playing in the Olympics right now for the Women's World Cup. I don't know where we're going with this. I'm just...
but she can't sing opera.
Anyway,
I'm pretty sure she can. We don't know that for sure,
sang
Tim,
on
but
the
I'm pretty
steps
sure.
of the Lincoln Memorial
Yes.
after she was not allowed to sing at a public
Carnegie.
venue that everybody else could sing at.
Right.
This is terrible. I am the worst.
So what we're saying is, I'll try to put a little bracket
Very
around this.
famous, phenomenal
African-American.
mezzo-soprano, like contralto, really.
But she was one of the first African-American women that...
Yes.
Stars. Opera
Yeah.
stars. That was, okay.
And at the Met and things like that.
Right.
Metropolitan Opera. Daughters of the... It's going to come to me. It'll pop into my head.
Confederacy? Is it the daughter? It's not the daughter.
No.
Wow.
Black woman, daughter of the Confederacy? How would that exactly
It would make
work?
sense. Well, that would be why they didn't let her, right?
Exactly. Right. That's what I'm
You
saying.
sound great, but you're going to have to hide somewhere because we just can't have this.
That was awful.
Yeah.
Well, around the time with the Paul Robinsons, the Marian
Yeah.
Andersons, that group of singers that really just paved the way for African American singers, and we owe them everything. Then to the next generation of the Leontine Prices and the Grace Bumbrys, and then the next generation of one of my teachers, the late great Carmen Balthrop, who just passed away recently. It's Myra Merritt, like all these beautiful black female singers that really made it possible for someone like me to be able to come along and even learn the art form, because it's not something that was even at an SCPA at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it was always unclear how...
Except for your private teachers, of course, because Debbie taught me a lot of classical music.
Well, but even when you got to Oberlin, right, you start off thinking, I'm going to be musical theater, and it's somebody who hears you and finds you there and says, this is the way to go. So you go through Oberlin and you graduate. Talk about what comes next. What's on your path?
Okay. So I graduated from Oberlin, and then I immediately had to come back home for about a year, because at that time my mother found out she had breast cancer, and it was a little tough journey to come home and take care of her a little bit, and so I just kind of took a couple classes at UC.
And how did they feel about your Oberlin training and your kind of this pursuit of opera music, and what were their thoughts?
My parents could care less. They just wanted to make sure I was safe, happy, and healthy, and whatever you pursued.
But that's great.
That's how my parents operated, really.
Because a lot of people would look at that and go, "What?"
Right. I mean,
you've gone off
Get
to
a
college,
real job.
You're gonna come back an opera singer.
Yeah. I mean, and even more so, my parents didn't go to college. So my dad went to 8th grade, and my mom graduated from high school, but neither one of them went to college. And so my oldest sister, was the first one to go, and she went to Central State University. And she actually studied classical music as well. So she was a phenomenal opera singer. She was a dancer at SCPA.
So she paved the way for you to make it acceptable that you're going to go off and pursue the arts.
I don't think they cared, but she did either.
Right.
But then my brother Michael went into the Navy, so he was career Navy for forever, and he can't sing his way out of a paper bag, so there was no musical talent there at all. And then Freddie is an artist. He went to SCPA, a visual artist, but then he does all things technical, like Ron does, so sound and things like that. And he worked for Channel 64 at the time, and then they merged with Channel 12, I believe. And right when that merger happened, unfortunately, my brother passed away. Not because of the merger, but he passed away.
How many of your siblings are still alive today?
There's 4 of us.
4
so
out of the 6.
Michael, Lynn, myself, and my brother Chris, who is also another SCPA percussionist, but right now he works in Baltimore and he does national security. So.
And did your mother succumb to the breast cancer?
Yeah, my mom passed from the breast cancer. So after I came home for that year, I decided, my mom was like, "You're going back to school." So I auditioned for Yale and also Maryland University. Got into both schools, but Maryland said, "If you come to our school, we'll pay you." I mean, literally paid me to be there. So they gave me, room and board, full tuition. So there was no hassle to it whatsoever, and it was a no-brainer. And also at the time, I had gone back and forth from Maryland to Ohio during my sophomore year at Oberlin, and I met a young gentleman by the name of Robert James Walker my sophomore year, and I am still with Robert James Walker to this day.
That's beautiful.
So he was also another big reason why Maryland was a program for me to go to. And on
just
top of that,
so everybody knows, he's also a famous opera singer.
right.
Well,
I won't say no on that one.
No?
But he is an amazing graphic designer, and
Yes.
he's a creative something over
We
at
love
someplace.
Bob.
Bob's right.
Yeah.
But
we're going to
he's
start calling
creative
him
as
Jimmy
well.
Walker now.
Jim.
So wait a second, for
Walker.
clarity, was this the master's program at Maryland?
So it's the master's program in Maryland, and what was neat was this a guy by the name of Leon Major who had come to town. He's from Israel, and he ran the new and improved opera master's program at Maryland University. So it was brand new. So our class that came in was like the class that set that Maryland Opera Studio on the
That's
map.
fantastic.
And during that time, when I was there, I won the Metropolitan Opera competition. You know, I'm singing the Countess and Marriage to Figaro. I was like, we were just doing everything.
You're full on now, immersed into this. Yeah.
Life with opera.
And all the languages too, though, right?
I call you a diva?
Yeah, I'm a diva.
No, seriously, that's a compliment, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You can call me a diva.
Well, then I'm calling you a damn diva.
Well, thank you. You can take that two different ways, right? You can have the diva that's like, wears a scarf around their neck and make sure they talk, hello everyone, and and you guys know I've never been that person.
Exactly. If you look on the other side, when we have on the table, we have like chips and granola bars and stuff. But that other deep, we'd have to have like lozenges.
Right. Where's my throat lozenge?
And tea and
the
honey
room
and all
temperature.
that.
Room temperature.
Yeah.
And please, I've said too many words. This interview is over.
Yes.
Only bottled water from Iceland.
Well, having worked with many.
I must have the natural artesian waters from the great rivers of the Fiji.
To be fair, Ron does have the Fiji water
Fiji is
here
the
for
best,
you.
though.
Well,
Fiji, it is the
On
best.
a carbon footprint, this is a nice,
It is the
thick
best.
plastic bottle.
It's fat. I love that stuff.
It's truly from the other side of the planet. So we just wanted to make sure.
We're depleting our natural resources.
Just so
I
that
love
you can.
Just so I can be happy.
But they fly that over on a 737.
Only one problem. One problem.
Reach out and catch it.
You cooled it. It must be room temperature.
Actually, no. Yours is below.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Oh.
Nicholas, open that glass. There's some. No, I thought about that.
All
There's
right.
some room temperature Fiji because.
Yeah. But again, I'm not that kind of diva, so I'll take the cold one. No singing right now, so we're good.
So you're now in Maryland. You're fully immersed in the opera scene.
Scene, yes.
And then how long is that? Is that a 3-year?
It's 2.5-year program, and so I graduated from Maryland, and then I immediately went into 2 consecutive years. Went to Cincinnati Dayton Opera first in their Young Artist program. Then I debuted a phenomenal piece called Paul Laurence Dunbar's Common Ground, and it was written by the great Adolphus Hellstork. And
do you remember where it was in Dayton?
It was in Dayton,
and I believe I came up and saw you perform that. Yeah,
you came and saw it, and then we traveled that around the central Ohio area to schools and things like that, because that's what young artist programs do. And that was a phenomenal experience, and the music was beautiful, and it actually was recorded, and they play it on PBS every now and then. I'll turn on the TV and be like, hey, it's me!
Wow.
There I am singing that.
Because it's
great
still,
stuff.
even after your master, you're still young for an opera singer.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, Opera singers, we really come into our voices for females much sooner. So you can be in your mid-20s and on, and it's great. But a bass doesn't really come into their voice until they're in their 30s, late 30s, and baritones maybe a little later. And now you can still sing, of course, but when you have that full maturity of sound and grasp of your technique of your voice, it usually happens a lot later. And I've always been very blessed because when I was 24, I was the Metropolitan Opera winner of the competition for our region in the Washington, D.C. area. And then because I was only a finalist in New York, I got to do it again, and I was going to do it here in Cincinnati. And the bummer was, it was being held at the Cincinnati Zoo, the finals in this area, and I got complete laryngitis 2 days before. And so the day of the competition, I'm trying to suck on as much onion juice as I can, trying to get my cords
done. It's because you were drinking cold water. You weren't doing the room temperature water.
Damn Fiji cold water. And so no, but it was pretty cold at the zoo at the time. But so I was really sad about that because I really felt like I had a chance to get back because I was older. Because I was 24 and the next youngest competitor was 29, 30 years old.
Right.
So I was they're like, hi everybody,
the baby
of the group, and doing things that and when I did the competition, I it was funny because my teacher was like, let's do it. We'll do it the first time, see what it's like, and then be ready for the next year. And I kept winning each round, and I was like, breaking out in hives. What's happening?
I was supposed to go home after I sang.
I don't know what's happening here.
Oh,
How do I
goodness.
keep winning this? This is awful. So it was actually a bit of a relief when in New York. And your dad actually came to see me in New York.
Oh, really?
He was at the competition. I sang well, but I was just constant state of anxiety, and it was just awful. And I was like, I'm not mentally prepared to take on this type of career just yet.
Had you faced stage fright or that sort of anxiety before? Was it something you dealt with? So it was really only once you got into this
I got to that level of the Metro, you're standing on the stage at the Metropolitan Opera going,
I can imagine it being overwhelming.
Holy cow.
But I mean, it does say something, right? You were very comfortable performing. You were very comfortable on a live environment. But I mean, that's just showing like what you've leapt up to in order to create.
Right.
Well,
and how does that? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was going to say in the first round of the competition, it was really interesting because I'm at was it at Wolf Trap? I don't know where it was, but I don't remember anymore. But I'm going to sing, and I was singing an aria called "Ain't It a Pretty Night" from the opera Susanna by Carlisle Floyd. Gorgeous piece, and it starts like "Ain't it a pretty night," just beautiful. And then there's like this little musical interlude, and then she goes, "The sky so dark and velvet-like." Try not to sing too loud in the mic, but anyway, it is just the most beautiful song you've ever heard.
That was gorgeous
so
right
this
there.
Is thank you. I'm in the first round of the Met competition, right? And I go up on stage, and I did have a little stage fright, I'll admit it. But, we have our techniques of how to deal with it. Those first few notes were like, "Ain't it a pretty night?" It was awful.
So you went full Peter Brady.
It was awful. Yes.
Peter Brady.
Awful.
Oh, okay.
And I told myself, I was like, girl, what was that? While this interlude's playing, I was like, you know how to sing this song. Calm down and sing it, right?
Yeah.
And I did. I calmed down, and I was just like, I'm just going to perform the song and sing it. And one of the judges' notes said, when you first opened your mouth, I thought, oh my God, I have to listen to this for the next 6 minutes. I was so happy to see that you pulled yourself together and showed us how great you really are. I kept that sheet.
You got to see them?
You get your comment sheets.
Oh, that's
She said, when you first and I was like, yeah, I know, honey, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. And that helped me a lot throughout my career later on, where then I was finally ready, mentally in a place where I should be, and was able to be a lot more successful. So
and then help me understand this, Angel, in the sense that, so from like an actor, I know there were like competitions. You mentioned competitions. It's like where then I would think from an acting standpoint, you do that, you're seeing wins, or you're in front of people, you're getting noticed. Then you would then get an agent, and then the agent would then submit you on gigs and whatnot. How does that, like, for an opera, like, are you trying to join a company? Is that like where does one kind of navigate from there?
So there's a lot of directions you can go. It's like you said, that's you can get an agent, you can join a company, you can go overseas, which a lot of American singers did, and you get things called fest contracts, and that means you're hired by the opera company and that you're their main singer for the season. America,
and a season runs like how many months of the year?
That's your job. So
okay.
You're there for seasons.
Is it like rep? Are they doing operas in rep?
Not necessarily. No? Some might, but it's basically you're a hired employee of the opera company and you sing. And that's how they used to do it back in the day.
Whatever they're doing.
Whatever they're doing.
Okay.
And they typically hire their singers based on what their needs are. But then, they have their 5 sopranos, their roster of singers over in Europe. And again, how it's handled right today, there's some of that, but there's diversity amongst all of that now. But back in the early 90s, that you got a fest contract, that's how you worked. America didn't have that. You were a freelance artist. So you went and you auditioned and you did whatever. So you would get an agent, and your agent would get you to these different auditions. So if you're the
Cincinnati Opera or the San Francisco or whatever it is, whatever opera is auditioning,
right?
You would go and from gig to gig to gig.
Gig to gig to gig.
Right.
And the really good ones, you have your gigs set up 3 years out.
Oh,
you always know. Wow. So 3 years from now, I'm going to be singing this place here.
Wow.
Sorry about that. Is that distracting you?
No, it's not. But did the car just pull up?
This is not live.
Okay. No, okay, so I know that's not live now. Right. But because I thought it was just a stationary picture, but then all these cars started going.
Yeah,
I was like,
for those at home, there's a video behind the TVC studios.
Yeah, there's a video wall back here. There's cars. It's actually shot out of the front of the building.
It looks like it could be his window. Yeah. So anyway, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
Okay, so Oberlin, Maryland. Oberlin, Maryland, performing all of that stuff. You're becoming a professional opera singer.
So the route I took was the route of none of those.
Well, thanks for laying the groundwork for us.
Yeah.
We appreciate you taking us down all the roads not traveled.
By Angela.
I'm fascinated by that because I had no idea. I don't even know,
So I never got an agent. I never had to because, again, I was really lucky to be blessed with an instrument that people like to hear. And I live in D.C., the D.C. area, and my backyard theater company is the Kennedy Center.
Right.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, you heard of that. And a conductor by the name of Donald McCullough ran the Master Chorale of Washington. And there's a lot of professional chorus groups in that region, and probably here as well, May Festival Chorus and things like that. And Don and I just hit it off, and Don was like, "You're my soprano." And so, I sang with them, and I was with the National Symphony Orchestra singing. I didn't have to worry about it. And then the occasional gig overseas, I'd just pop over there for a couple weeks, and then I'd come back.
Well, it's a combination of talent and then some people who heard you and said, "Okay, let's put you in the right place." Yeah.
And then I was really, really lucky because people always called me. So they'd be like, "Hey, Angela, could you sing this? Hey, Angela, can you sing that? And hey, Angela, So I was like, wow. So I never had to really do that. Why am I going to pay agent to, 15%?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And do you credit that to the, again, talent, it has to be a given in that. Mm-hmm. But then you had all of these teachers who maybe put you in the right place to meet the right people.
The people teachers, mentors, friends, that people you've worked with. Like, you never burn a bridge. There are a lot of people that I just was like, wow, if I never had to see you again, I would not be sad.
And those are the people you definitely will be seeing again.
Right. You will see them again. You're right.
You always meet them twice in this world, right? Yeah.
So you have to find a way to always find beauty, at least for me. I always try to find beauty in everything. So even the most cringy thing that sometimes you're just like, oh, I really wish that person didn't exist anymore kind of thing. You find a way to find beauty in that.
I'm going to chime in here.
Go ahead.
Because I've actually seen you do that in practice. I've watched you put that in practice. When I was on the opposite end of that spectrum, and I watched and I learned from you. So carry on. So it's funny that you say that because
I just believe it. I believe in you get things that more with sugar than you do shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's certainly true. But I think also you have a nature and a part of your personality that lends itself to that. I mean, you always have been, right? I mean, I knew you when you were 14 years old, right?
So,
but you were not, you were always a person who we just went through life with a positive attitude. You know what I mean? It would cheer me up when I see you in the morning. Heat miser hair.
I knew it.
She knew that. We were waiting. Please mark it down. The reference to heat miser 4321.
5517.
So Angel used to, if she rolled in with this like fishing hat on, you know, like this
My fishing hat.
this
I
fishing
love
hat
that
she had
hat.
pulled on in senior hallway. So the School of Performing Arts was the senior hallway. We were all hanging out back there. If she rolled in with that hat on, I guarantee you it was my mission to yank that bad boy off and go run down, because it was a serious bad hair day when she was rolling in with the fishing hat on.
I avoided Rex at all times for that hat. But after a while, you know, it's just I'm the baby sister of 4 brothers. I don't want to do hair. My sister did hair. She loved doing her hair and her makeup things.
Your hair is beautiful right now, by the way. I love your hair. It's flowing and the color. It's fantastic.
And I love this because it's braids, and you know, I just have to wake up, shake it out a little bit, ponytail and go. Again, great. Not high maintenance, but no, I just believe that positivity is just the way to be. You know, it breeds more positivity. And you can always find a way around problems and disagreements, and you know, what is it all? And you can find a way around that.
And work begets work. You know.
Yes.
It's you know, you're working with these people and like, we want to work with her again. Yeah. Or they're telling you about
you just said it,
somebody else.
They want to work with you again, and I think that's how you got away with not having to do those other things.
Correct.
Right? Because talent, obviously, like I said, number one is a given. In the right situation to meet them and work with them once. Okay,
luck.
Great.
Luck.
All of those things have to come into play to get you there.
Yeah.
But then those people who go out of their way to use you again or say, hey, I got something, I want to bring Angel in to do this. That is where that gets you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you want to work, you know, in the end of the day in this business, you want to be working around people who are not only talented, but that you'd like to
you want to be hang out with, right?
Spend this amount of time with,
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that I didn't ever want the superstardom, which is a different level of where you have to go. So I never wanted to be like the next Leontine Price or the next Renee Fleming. That's not who I wanted to be. I didn't want that kind of pressure. Who wants that kind? I get people that want to be that. Now, back when I was younger, I'm going to be a Broadway star. I grew up. Yeah. And what does Angela want to do? Angela wants to have a family, and Angela wants to be able to pour all of her love into her children, and Angela wants to be able to pay her rent and pay her bills.
Yep.
And on top of that, look at all this great singing I get to do too, right? Isn't that cool?
It becomes a part of
It's a part of the whole thing. Yeah. Now, if I wanted to be a superstar, never be home, travel 8-10 months out of the year. But the first year of my marriage, when I first started to sing everywhere, I wasn't home. I just got married, and I was home for 2 months.
Oh, man.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do. I want to be around I like my husband.
Right.
He's a great guy. I love my children. I want to see them, you know.
I always think, you know, when you see people who become really, really famous, generally it's because they have to, right? You have to be willing to give all of it up. All of it.
All of it.
Right? In pursuit of that. And, you know, if that's not what you have to do, then your path is the right one.
I found the path where I got to do everything. Yeah. I got to do everything. How cool is that? I know I'm blessed because I got to do everything. And I'm still doing everything because, as you know, you're probably going to say the next step after.
Well, so I mean, how did you went into teaching at some point in time?
So I've always taught.
Okay.
So I've always maintained a private studio from Oberlin days. So
you're talking about like when you were in your early 20s, you were teaching?
Yeah, I was teaching voice. At Lorraine High School in Cleveland, Ohio. I taught there,
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I've always had a private studio. I've always taught lessons because I just love watching people get that spark and click. That's like the coolest thing because they'll be singing along and I'm like, no, let's try this exercise. Okay, let's format and blah, blah, trichorhythmoids, blah, blah, blah. Right?
Yes.
And it clicks. And then they do it and they're like, and you see that and you hear it and that's like a drug.
Yeah.
That is the coolest thing ever. And so I've always taught. I've always maintained that private studio. And now, I'm really honored to be teaching at the university level. But before all of that happened, and I was doing that world of singing and the private teaching and things like that, and the kids and the pets and the husband. It was kind of a lot going on at that point, because the idea was, well, when you do this, when this happens, let's drop this one thing.
Well, because you have 3 children.
I do. I have 3 boys.
And how far apart are these boys?
2.5 years apart each.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but they were never a problem, and they ever. I have great kids. Again, I've just been blessed. I've just had a very blessed life. There's been struggles. There's been no's, but again, I always tell my students, you're going to hear a lot of no's before you hear a lot of yeses. Mm-hmm. Some of us are lucky enough not to hear a lot of no's.
And Bob is great too, right? I mean, he's always been
very supportive of
all
he's
of us.
He's like, what do you need to do? Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Come back with the check. No, I'm kidding. So, but no, he's, man, I think about it. My friends that I have around me that support my family. Oh my God, y'all about to make me cry. Don't let me cry. No crying. No crying.
But you're so right,
no
Angel.
It's
right.
It's the to get to do what you love to do and make a living at it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't get any better than that.
It doesn't. I was watching. I don't know. Can we say other shows? I was watching Heart to Heart. Have you seen?
Oh my God!
There's Mrs. H. She's gone. That Heart to Heart.
If there were some limitation.
I mean,
Stephanie
for the
Powers
viewers at home,
Williams.
please Google Heart to Heart. So they know what we're all talking about.
But I'm going to make sure we don't age ourselves here. I'm not talking about Heart to Heart, the show from a long time ago. I'm talking about Heart, H-A-R-T, to Heart, H-E-A-R-t, Kevin Hart.
Oh.
Heart to Heart with Robert Wagner or whatever that
And Stephanie Powers.
We all went there. All three of us went there.
Went to the 70s.
So the geriatric group of...
Wow. And then it's like, well, if it's not that, it's the Kenny Loggins song to be sure.
Matthew, did you go there? Who were you thinking of when she said that?
I certainly didn't go to where you guys went.
Yeah, he was thinking Olivia Rodrigo or something.
Right?
Heart to Heart.
Yeah, I was like, is Chalamet that?
Just so we're clear.
Chalamet.
I just need to understand. We're talking about Kevin Hart, and who's the other Hart?
Your heart.
Your own heart.
Your heart.
So it's Kevin Hart to my heart. I'm fully on board now. Wow. We have
That's good.
Not one of us, but all three of us went there.
So we have just lost every... In fact, your son is getting up to walk into the other room.
Yeah.
He's just so horrified by the turn that this podcast has taken.
He has no idea what y'all's Heart to Heart is. He's like, what's that? Who's Stephanie Powers?
Right?
Oh, my Lord.
Okay. All right. We're back. We're back.
Now
we're back.
On his show, Heart to Heart.
We're talking about the Kevin Hart show.
Yes,
fantastic.
Yes, I love that show.
Boy, that's very relevant.
I love that show.
We're all up with that.
Currently on Peacock, right?
Yes.
Have you been watching the Olympics? Anyway, so once
is that a UHF station?
Once the Olympics are done, Heart to Heart pops on for some reason. No, he has that show with Keenan right now. So right after that show, then
I just didn't know what it was called.
Gotcha. So gotcha. Anyway, getting back to the point, Ben Affleck was on a show, and he was talking about his start with Matt Damon and how they were young and grew up together. And the whole time he was talking, all I could think of was you guys, because it was like our same journey. It just wasn't in Boston, the streets of Boston.
Yeah.
But, the same drama teacher that your dad is everybody's dad, Rex.
Yeah.
Even Jack LaWiso, the artistic director at the time, was just a huge mentor to a lot of us.
You mentioned Debbie Centers.
Michael Haase.
Fran Haas. Yeah.
Fran Haas, Frank Lang. Like, we had a community of adults that helped to raise us into these phenomenal individuals that are now here, right?
Yeah.
And when we're young, you can't appreciate that.
No.
Right.
But as an adult now, I tell you, I appreciate it 100% because it's just that they've made you who you are, as a person and how you see the world. And I love the fact that they let us see it through rose-colored lenses, right?
I was talking about this just on that video call. Angel and I are on a board together that she missed the call. I was going to say about
I was at my son's graduation.
but she had a good excuse. No, but Rocky was on a call and he was talking about, talking about approaching, fundraisers and donors in town. And Rocky said, I'm going to be in town. Just put together a couple dinners. We can do one-on-one. Because basically to tell that story you just said of what is the power that, the arts introduced to young people early on in their life can have. And Rocky, there are examples of people who've gone on to do it their whole life, but even the less examples of just the exposure to the arts and opening up their mind to what is possible, right? The world of possibilities.
And not less, just different, right? So it's all the different possibilities, the doctors and the lawyers that we have, the CEOs of companies, because honestly, my career took a different turn after I did my singing and performing for a long time, and then I guess now it's been about over 10 years, where I took a swing all the way into arts administration and not performing. And Jack Loiseau, a mentor, was like, "I'm retiring. I need you to come run the Children's Theater of Cincinnati." I was like, and he said it just like that as he showed up as a surprise on my porch that was Susie in Maryland.
Wow.
And he was like, knock, knock, knock. And I was like, holy crap, it's Jack Loiseau. What are you doing on my doorstep?
How did you find me? Yeah.
Man, I thought I was in witness protection. No, just kidding, Jack. Anyway, so they show up at the door. Literally, it was like out of nowhere. I was
unannounced.
Like, unannounced. They were just in town, and they just rang the doorbell. And I was like, what? And he was like, I'm retiring. Now, of course, I didn't take the job till like almost 5-6 years later because he wasn't retiring then. Right. But he was getting ready for it. Yeah. He was prepping me for it.
Mentally preparing everybody for it.
And I was like, oh, Jack, that's great. I live here. No. But then, life happened.
And you were teaching at the time.
I was teaching at Duke Ellington School of the Arts.
But still performing
But I was
as well.
performing.
Right.
I was definitely performing and doing all the gigs everywhere. And that was just a lot of fun. Just living my life, having a good time. With the kids screaming at the airport, "Mommy, come home!" I'm like, "It's okay, baby." And I flew over to Germany with this one in my belly and the squirrel. Another story.
Wow.
I'm singing with the Prague Symphony Orchestra, and the first violinist, I guess, couldn't see the conductor past my belly. But he didn't know I was pregnant. He thought I was just oversized.
You thought you were the
he thought I was
lady.
He thought I was big boned. So
was his name Yogi Berra?
Yogi conducted to Tim. You didn't know that was.
But I see him talking and check to his friend next to him, and I can pick up a word here and there. My check's not that great, but But I know he's calling me fat, right?
I know enough.
Yeah, there's certain words in any language.
So I turned around and I looked at him and I went, "I'm not fat, I'm pregnant." So I'm like making the gesture like really big, and he goes, "Oh," and then he like tells the guy, and then it like spreads around the whole like, what were they out back just calling me fat or something? What is that?
First of all, let's just get a couple things clear. Would it be that unusual that there's a fat opera singer?
Yes, yes, Rex, yes, it would be.
But I mean, to the point where you're going to have to explain yourself.
But see, that's the thing. I mean, what was it when it got like back to the timpani and all of that? Was it still that same thing?
Boom, 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 boom. No, it was great. But no, so anyway, Nicholas was the reason why. But
that was your first trip to Germany,
that was
Nicholas.
His first and only. We got him back there now when he's on the other side. So.
Yes, right.
And then, Angel, that leads then through children's theater to then you becoming a artistic director at Performing Arts.
Correct. So I went to children's theater. I was there for 4 years as their artistic director. But then, there was a big happening that happened with the School for Creative Performing Arts, and they needed a new administrative body, and because of how much that school had done for me, I wanted to make sure that I gave back to that school in any way that I could. It's not that I wanted to leave children's theater. I wanted to help my alma mater.
That's
yeah.
See, there you go.
When I heard that you were becoming the artistic director, I can't tell you how much that warmed my heart.
Oh, yeah.
Because
and I had a great time there. It was great of a time as anyone can have in administration at the Cincinnati Public School System. So.
Yeah, I mean, and the simple fact is I think what Tim just said was true for all of us. I mean, it really was such a great. Really a resurrection of the school, not back to what it was, but into what it will be,
what it can be in the future,
and will be in the future. I mean, they got that beautiful new building built down there, and obviously living in the world, and I think a lot of this gets lost over the years, is that running an art school in the 70s and 80s,
way different than in 2020.
You just cannot get away with all of the all of the stuff.
A lot of stuff, people be in jail by now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, but good and bad, right? I mean, there's good things that you say, I wish we could still do that, but we can't.
You can't.
And then also the other things, which you just can't do anymore. Yes, I mean, you probably shouldn't have done it. But you definitely shouldn't have done them then. But
and it's never a good idea to try to bring something back to the way it was. It's always a good idea to take what was great from what it was to advance it into the future.
Right. Yeah,
sure.
And, so we definitely. As an administration, we had Michael Owens, another alum, as the principal of the school. We had Nick Nisley as the new executive director, so they changed the format of the top of the administration at the school. They brought in Teresa Sumi Haas to work there. And then, they also tried to help the the treasurer of the school as much as possible, because SCPA really is a theater company. Like it's an event event place for people to go. Like we're renting this building to Cincinnati Chamber Orchestra, Cincinnati Symphony, Cincinnati Opera.
You're running
it's
an
a
arts
facility.
Right.
So that's a different format than just a high school being in a building, right?
Right.
So, but how do you make all of those things coalesce together? And that's what wasn't happening. It was like all these one-off kind of things. No, how do we make it all together so these kids benefit from the opportunity of working with these professionals in their fields, and they're in our building. It makes no sense not to make these things work together. So it was neat, and having Nick Nisley there, and I will say I'm just a great friend of him. He's in Michigan now, running a president of a college there, and just his demeanor, his nature, his professionalism, his approach to education, everything about him, we just vibed so well together. And then having Mike Owens as a part of that as well, there was nowhere for that school to go but up.
Yeah.
And I think we did really well for the first few years there, so it was great to do.
And what was your tenure? What was the tenure there?
I was there 7 years. 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, every organization is going to ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But I do think you set it on a path to sustainability that it had lost. Right there, it was drifting out there, and you guys were able to bring back a lot of the core principles, right, behind organizing around this. But as you said, do it how you need to do it today.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
In a modern interpretation of that. And I think that's going to be true with every program. I mean, Matthew, our producer here, my son, graduated from CCM in electronic media. My dad taught broadcasting up there. Yeah. And that same program, but which is what that turned into. So if you think about it, when we were all at the Performing Arts School, electronic media was not a thing. It didn't exist, right? And now
that's so Jetsons of you.
Yeah, I mean, but so now Matthew's sitting in San Francisco producing this podcast. So it's a version of taking principles and carrying them forward into modern times.
And then Howard University comes calling.
OHU, I went to my first homecoming. My first year there, I was like, wow, this place is awesome. Anyway, sorry, what was your question?
No. How? So tell us that. Where they sought you sought them. How did that come into play?
So yeah, I'm going to have to be selective with what I say about this because I believe it's a phenomenal school, but my start there was a little rocky. So it was not rocky in the sense that the kids were a mess or anything like that. Let me just tell you a story. So I was approached by a friend of mine who is the jazz professor there and said, "Hey, Angel Girl, would you be interested to come and applying for this job as the head of the classical voice department at Howard University?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be amazing."
It was an existing program.
Yes, it's an existing program.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
okay.
As far as it existed, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Greats have graduated from that program. I mean, come on now, Jesse Norman, and it's a huge program back in the day. When I was in Maryland at the earlier 20 years, when I had just graduated from Maryland University, I ran into a lot of the players at Howard. Ned Lewis, Charlotte Holloman, Sylvia Odom Lee, like these are huge names at the time.
But this is also going to the same theme of programs can ebb and flow over time.
They can ebb and flow. Yeah. Their ebb was a little longer than it needed to be. And it's, there are a lot of institutions that'll have great glory days and then they just ride the glory days a little bit too long, and they don't realize transformation is necessary. Transition into the future as best as you can. And some organizations are better at it than others, right? So there was a time when the reason why I think the ebbing went on a little bit too long is there was a time when the fine arts program at Howard was its own entity. And that's back when Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther was there. And the school was great. But then they decided to merge the Fine Arts building into the Arts and Sciences building. And a lot of students did not like that.
Right.
Fought for years to get them separated.
So it wasn't a true conservatory, but it was run like a conservatory, basically.
At first, it was a fine arts program, like a music school of music at any university or college. Right. Then they merged the two, and that I have no idea how that went. I just know a lot of attention wasn't put onto, I don't know about all the other programs, but the classical voice program. Right. There wasn't a lot of attention put on that. So I just kind of meandered along for a little bit, and that wasn't good, and they had some good things, not some good things, and whatever. So fast forward a few years later, I don't know, 20 or 30 years later, they decide to separate the schools out again. So Chadwick Boseman's foundation and all the people that were working with that group to get the schools separated finally got it to happen. They brought in Felicia Rashad as the dean of the school and put administration in to then get this new fine arts building going. So it was in existence for a year as the new fine arts building, and then they said, my friend went, I know the person we need to bring in to help this classical voice department. And so that's when they reached out to me.
So let's track this just a little bit, because that's a great story. You glossed over coming into children's theater, and I believe you were a bridge between the children's theater, which has been a long-running institution in this town for years, taking it across a bridge and setting it on a path to now the Emory Theater is being redone.
Well, so I wasn't part of the Emory Theater. I was their new building. So I'm the one that did the whole, let's get this facility on Red Bank Road.
Well, that's the path.
But what I'm saying is that's the beginning of the path.
That was the beginning of the path that now leads to.
Taking an organization that was semi-nomadic, wandering around, working here and there, getting facilities built for them, and then leaving that. But that organization, that institution is on a path now that's getting the Emory done, right? So then you go into the Performing Arts School, which had kind of lost its way, came in with this new group, and you've set it on a path where it can go on without you and succeed and grow and become what it needs to do. And now you've just described coming into Howard, a famed institution, a famed organization.
Come in and fix it.
No, but I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And it's not come in and, the reason why it can get fixed so quickly is because, first of all, you have to recognize all the amazing talent that's already in place. and allow them to have a voice and to help build the institution back to where it needs to go, right? A lot of times, people come in, this is my idea, this is the way it has to work, let's do it. And it might work sometimes, and sometimes it blows up in your face. Well, I've never taken that approach. My approach has always been, let me look at the people that are around,
right?
Because the people are the organization. They are the strength of the organization. I'm just here to guide and find a path for us all to be successful.
Well, if you come in like that, like you described just then, if you come in like that, it's going to fail because everybody already in the organization is going to implode it from the inside.
Or at the very least, you're going to just end up with a cult of personality.
Yes.
Where you end up with an organization that maybe succeeds for a while that person is there, but it's not really an organization that has the structure needed.
Yeah.
And you can see that. I mean, that's what you're describing is the hallmark of a great leader, Angel. I mean, it really is. I mean, you come in, you identify talent, you empower talent, you listen to talent, and you create an organization that, when you decide to leave, goes on without you.
Yep.
That's the goal. Like raising children.
Yep, exactly. That's the goal.
It is.
That's the goal.
You want to
Those
raise
are my babies.
Independent thinkers.
Let them fly.
Yeah, let them. You gotta let them. You gotta raise them up, take care of them in the nest, and then turn them loose.
And it's not to say that I haven't misstepped along the way. Of course I have. Who hasn't? But I think the majority of everything that I've tried to do for the empowerment and the embetterment of every institution. And it's not going to be any different for Howard either. And already, things are coming into place. We have things like, hey, Randy will reach out to me and say, you guys want to produce a Broadway show or get this up and running? Let's see how we can get this started. I have, people from the Kennedy Center calling and saying, hey, Angela, how can we get more students to come over this way and sing here?
That's the connection. So you are doing what was done for you.
Correct.
You are helping those students make the connections and giving them the opportunities to succeed.
And, and also, let's get some students in here. I mean, you don't hold yourself to so high of a standard that everybody has to come in perfect. But no, let's bring them in here because we're supposed to be here to teach them. What? Fathom that? So let's teach them.
They're already fully baked. They don't need to be here.
Because that's you just bringing in someone for your notoriety, right? No. Let's bring them in and make them fabulous. And then when they leave, that's putting how great you are into the threads of society, and that's what's important. And HU has already got it going on. They are the Mecca, right? That's what they like to say, the Mecca. And my profession, I'll just say it right now, as an opera singer, is predominantly white. And here I am, this African-American person. I named all 7 black people. No, there's a lot more. It's much better. So much better, but because of the ones that did the work before me.
But it's fair enough to note that it's still underrepresented.
And we still need to work at it, right? Yeah. And there's some phenomenal voices out there, but that just don't know what the art form is or the medium is and how it's changing. Cincinnati Opera, oh my God, Evans Mirages and what he's doing with bringing in the African-American operas. They're doing 3 this season, I believe. And
the Met, too. The
Met Champion and Boots on Fire, whatever one's called. I shouldn't say names. I'm the worst with names. Of operas, of people. I'm
Daughters
just
of the Revolution, the opera.
I keep wanting to say regiment because that's an opera. I know that's not what it is. I partied a little bit too much in college.
How many languages did you learn in college?
4.
4 languages.
Here, let me say it in French.
And apparently she knows the word fat in Czechoslovakian or something.
Oh, man.
But not the word pregnant. That one she has to give them the I'm pregnant. That's the hand gestures, the sign language version of pregnant.
So, Angel, I have to ask you this question because we've asked it to all the guests. I know you said you're a Bengals fan. Hoo day.
Hoo day.
If you were to wear a jersey of a Cincinnati sports team, could be based any jersey, what name would be on the back?
What name would be on the back?
Whose jersey would you, if you had to wear one of the players' jerseys?
The Reds, Bengals, FCC.
Oh, you're putting all of the sports in there.
Oh yeah, any what jersey, what sports team would you wear, and what name would be on the jersey?
Okay, where's Nicholas? Did he leave?
He just left. Yeah.
tell Nicholas, but I guess I'm going to say LeBron James.
Okay. So you would wear a Cleveland. It would be a Cleveland jersey.
We'll give you
and
the
it would be
Cleveland one,
James.
right?
No, that's just the name. The name on the back of a jersey.
Yeah. But what Cincinnati player would you?
Cincinnati player.
Yeah, Cincinnati player.
I'm going to have to go with, and because, here we go, squirrel. My son went to Ohio University. Joe Burrow's in the house.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There you
So
go.
Nice.
that area, and he actually tells us a story about how he walked in the bar, and he was like, "Hey, Joe," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, that happened, Chris," but I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did, because Christopher hangs at bars a lot. But no, I'm kidding. He doesn't do that. But so because of that area, go Hocking Hills, all that place.
Right.
I'm gonna go with Joe Burrows.
And
That's awesome.
What about singing the national anthem?
Angela Powell Walker.
But I mean, where, when?
I already did.
I mean, where, when? Tell us. When
Again? Coming up? I don't have any
like
schedule.
when in the past.
Angela, we know that you sang the national anthem. Will you please tell us when that happened?
I didn't know
and
that.
Where
Yeah,
you were
when did that
when it
happen?
happened?
Damn it.
Thank you, Tim,
Jesus.
for bailing me out here. I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sorry,
I have sung the national anthem on several occasions. I did it at an FCC soccer game
okay.
in their first season.
So at Nippert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I sang it, here's a good one, the first season of the Nationals
Oh.
in Washington, D.C.
Oh, DC, yeah.
So I was their first season, and I have to tell you the story. So there was a radio station in Washington, D.C. that was doing the National Anthem's Idol. And that was the name of the thing. So like American Idol, but it's National Anthem.
National Anthem, okay.
Right.
And my husband, who is a graphic designer, did the programs for the Nationals, right? So he laid out their books and things like that. So he had said just innocently to the Nationals people that do the national anthem stuff, my wife's an opera singer. I'd love it if there'd be a chance for her to sing the national anthem. And I won't mention names, but the lady in charge was like, "Oh, sure, sweetie. You just whatever,
Yeah, blows
Everybody
it off.
blows it off.
Yeah.
Kind of like Marge.
So Bob's like, "Well, let me give you a CD," and he gives her a CD I had made at the time called "City Called Heaven," and he's like, "Just listen to it. If you want to hear her sing live, just let me know." And nothing. So he brings it up again at their next meeting, and she's like, "Okay, well, you can have her come to the Four Corners bar and sing." I have to audition, right? And I was like, whatever. My husband has gotten me into weirder situations. So I was like,
but like an open mic night at a bar?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's not an open night, mic night. It's the National Anthem's Idol. I didn't know that at the time. So
my
people
goodness.
had been calling into a radio station and singing, and they became a finalist.
Like over the phone.
I don't know how they sent. I wasn't part of that. I just know they were. They would do this through this radio station, and then there were the finalists from the radio station that were going to sing live at the Four Corners bar, right?
Jeez Louise. This just sounds like a disaster.
So she was doing me a favor by not making me call into the radio station and just be in the finals of this competition.
You were at the callback at this point.
I was at the callback, yes.
I see, right.
Okay.
So this whole time, and so I meet her for the first time at the bar, and I'm just whatever, it's casual, so it's no big deal. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm Angela, opera singer, blah, blah, blah," and she's like, yeah, honey, whatever, yeah. Like, just totally dismissive and rude, and it was awful. So I was like, well, if you're going to be like that, I don't care. So I'm in the bar. I've had about 10 beers by now. We're throwing darts in the back, having a good time. Again, not really a diva. So then we made friends with the, tourist family that was sitting in the at the bar. And they're like, "Hey," and they're like, "Hey, where are you from?" We're having the best conversation. I'm slightly tipsy, have to admit. And they were like, "Are you part of this whole thing?" I was like, yeah, I'm going to go up and sing in a minute. And they're like, "Oh, we can't wait to hear you." And I was like,
so
okay.
in the background, people have been
talking, just having a good
But
time.
people have been singing the national anthem?
No, they can sing. You can sing anything you want.
Oh, okay.
Some people have done the national anthem. Some people have sung, crazy other songs,
so
right?
you don't have to. So it's not. It's
when I went there, I thought I had.
It's some grand karaoke
grand
night,
karaoke.
right? That's right.
So you thought you had to sing the national anthem going in?
When I went in,
okay.
so I was going to sing it, but then I was like, I can sing anything. Okay.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm going to sing O Mio Bambino Caro from Johnny Schicchi by Puccini. And
I have to believe you were the only person
that even knew what I said.
What the hell she's singing?
From Achy Breaky Heart to...
Yeah.
What was that?
Is that a Billy Ray Cyrus song?
Ma vorrei bene qualcosa più tardi. What in...
Oh, my dear love.
Okay.
Or baby. O mio bambino caro, right? So I'm saying...
So is it fair to say, one, you were the only one singing in another language?
Yes.
And two, you were the only one singing opera?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. We had jazz,
I think that's
we had
a
rock, we had everything.
fair
I just wanted to be clear on this. Okay.
But wait, it gets better because one of my voice students was a finalist. And
boy.
I walked in the bar and she was like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And she starts crying. And I'm like,
she went to the radio station.
I'm like, no, don't worry about it. I'm just going through the motions now because, this is, I'm not supposed to really be here, so don't pay attention to me, right?
Had you helped her prepare for this?
No, I didn't know she was doing it. I had no idea. So, anyway.
Am I being graded on this?
So I love her, by the way. It was great. And her mom was one of my students at the time, too. So
but she also did not sing opera. When
she sang it was a legit tune, but it wasn't opera.
Light opera, like a Sondheim
Yes,
type.
yes, there you go. Yes, American opera. So anyway, finishing the story up, I go up onto the stage because they call my name Angela Powell, and I walk up on the stage. By the way, I sing under Angela Powell, not Angela Powell Walker. And I have this mic that they give me, and I go, well, in my line of profession, I just started. And I was like, in my line of profession, we don't use microphones. And I dropped it on the stage. Now, you have to understand, I'm like totally tipsy now.
Wait, I like the fact that the mic drop happens before you perform.
Right.
That's some confidence right there.
Right?
Boom.
And there are no nerves because, again, I'm tipsy. So I open up my mouth.
Told you alcohol would come back to this.
Oh yeah, always. So I open up my mouth. Just have a great time. And I'm like holding these notes for an hour. It's great. So you see the lady that was like being dismissive earlier go like this. And she just puts her head down and starts writing on this little piece of paper.
And the people in the back doing darts are like, what the hell is
the bar
going
is
on?
silent. The bar is silent. Everybody's like, holy cow, why is this girl? What is happening here? Right? And so there's the three judges, just like an American Idol. And they had this record producer guy, the lady, and some other person that was, high in the art scene there.
Randy Jackson.
Is Bob there?
Oh, yeah, Bob's there. Bob, and we're just kind of, I was so evil this day, but I was just kind of mad, and I was tipsy. So the whole time the judges are talking, I'm staring at this lady like this, just staring at her. And the producer judge goes, what are you doing here? You should be a professional singer. And I'm just staring at her. Like, I've told her, honey, I don't think you understand. I'm a professional singer, And she's like, yeah, we take all kinds. No, I'm a professional opera singer.
Right.
My husband didn't hear me sing in the shower and go, honey,
did you listen to the CD? Like, what is going on here? No, they're like, so needless to say, she came up afterwards and was like, you don't have to do the American Anthem Idol anymore. We're just going to pick a date for you to come sing the national anthem. So I was like, all right, thank you very much. And so we drank more and giggled and walked out of the bar.
Did they actually select a different winner?
They selected a different winner. It was great.
So you didn't snatch the
I did not
the
snatch
prize
nothing.
away from
They
somebody.
selected a different, and that's like I told my student, I was like, don't you worry about it. I'm sure they'll come to their senses and know that, I get paid to do this for a living, But the funniest part of the whole thing is about a week later, I get a phone call from the stadium saying, hey, you need to come down for the final round. That wasn't the final round of the national anthem.
Oh, my God.
You had to sing at the stadium.
With the echo going on.
Right.
And
I
all
was
that.
like, there's no way in hell I'm coming down to the stadium to sing this. So goodbye, click.
Wow.
Right.
But then it turned out they just didn't get the memo that I didn't have to sing.
Right.
So, but it was
Serious
hysterical.
question, Angel.
Yes.
Serious question. Is singing the national anthem? Is there anything different that you do singing that as opposed to opera?
No.
Okay.
And just because it's such a hard song to sing, and as you've witnessed several people kind of crash and burn on it through 3 octaves, I think. Oh, say, can you see?
Yeah. And the acoustic environment's brutal.
It's brutal.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lapse, right?
Oh, yeah,
because
there is.
There's a good time. Yeah.
But you learn to do all that and learn to sing with mics and things like that. But the hardest part is, for me, is you don't get a pitch pipe or anything. They're not like, oh, here's your first note, and then you sing it.
Right.
So I know the person that was standing in front of me, there was what do you call it? The army people, the
the color guard.
Color guard, thank you.
Guard,
So the color guard was going out before me, and they were standing in front of me, this gentleman, and all he heard me going was going,
just to hold it in your head, right?
Yeah.
Because if you start on that wrong note,
then it'd be too high, right?
You can't bring a pitch pipe?
I'm sure you could, but I didn't have one.
Okay.
I was like,
well, the professionals don't.
Yeah, and I have something called relative pitch. I don't have perfect pitch. I have relative pitch. So if I've been singing all day, I can pick a note out of the air and be like, this is an A. But I'd have to have been singing and around a piano for a while, unlike perfect pitch people that just wake up and sing a note.
Or any diva would. I mean, you've got the first violin sitting behind you.
Can you please give me my note?
That's right.
I need to tune to 440A. Yes, thank you very much.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
That was very good, Ron.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't engage my core.
Yeah, get that core going, get that singer format, get that note buzzing, tongue down at your teeth.
Flip it.
Wow.
I think
that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean.
So yes, my favorite time singing the national anthem has to be not when it was the national anthem, but at FCC. That was a lot of fun.
Now, how long did it take you?
To sing the FCC.
The national anthem, yeah.
I did not. I'm never one that's draw it out.
You didn't do one of
I
those.
also don't even go up to the high note at the end. I don't do the, oh, say does the stars spangled banner way, the land of the free. And people think I don't take that note because then I go, land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, you take it.
And I end it at the end, so
nice.
it makes a lot more sense, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, yay, high note. They're like, yes, high note. Thank you.
How do we get you to do one for the Bengals?
Call them, tell them to come. I'll be there.
Okay.
If they want me, I'll do it.
Okay.
Now,
Rex, can you pull those strings?
We're gonna make that happen.
Fun fact: my sister used to sell peanuts in the concession stand at the stadium.
Yeah.
Riverfront. This is back during Riverfront time.
Okay.
And they had her sing the national anthem, and they called her the Peanut Lady. And
so this is like where
that's awesome.
You pull somebody, the common person out who could sing.
Well, she was a concession worker.
That's what I mean.
Right.
So they've gone out and found the person who's working there.
Exactly. And so when she stopped working there, I started working there. I didn't get peanuts, though. I had to drink soda, and it was heavy, and it would just get you wet, and it was awful. It was cold. But anyway, I was top seller, and I finally got to go up to cotton candy or something like that. But anyway, I was like,
which is from the heaviest to the lightest. Right?
It was great.
Well, so she was even good at selling soda, the best at selling soda at Riverfront.
Well, that's how they did it. Like you had to be the top seller to get to the next bracket of things to sell where you would make more money and more. And peanuts was the number one thing. And beer, peanut and beer. So, and I was too young to sell beer, so I was trying to get to peanuts.
At the top of your age bracket was peanuts.
Yes.
That was the goal.
Yes.
Got it.
So when Lynn left, I looked enough like her that I would go around singing at the 7th inning stretch. I'd bid them out to who would want to take me out to the ball game. And it was great. I love drunk men sitting white men sitting down.
Use this as part of your sales pitch.
I would just be like, hey.
Buy 2 Mountain Dews and I'll sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Who wants to take me out to the ball game? And one guy would be like, I'll buy 2, but I'll also give you $50. And then the guy over here was like, well, I'll buy 2 and I'll give you $100. I got the bidding up to $500 once, and nobody even bought a soda. It was great. And I was like, and you're the winner. Thank you.
You got $500?
Wow.
In the 80s, you got $500?
$500. peanuts, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
It was awesome. That was the greatest take me out to the ball game. Buy me some peanuts. And that's not, you don't sing that as opera. That would be a weird opera.
Yeah.
No, you don't do that.
So you're all in there bending notes.
It was like, anyway.
It's like Aretha Franklin.
And
They got their $500 worth. You know?
Wow.
And you've not sang at Great American Ballpark for the Reds.
Great American Ballpark, I've not. No.
We got to make that happen, Rex.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we'll work on all this. I like this.
Yeah.
This will be me.
I'd love to.
Because then we get you back to town.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all my children stayed here. So obviously I'll be back to visit and bother them and try to run their lives.
You'll be back for the holidays at all?
Yes, we'll be back for the holidays because it's easier for us to move than it is for them to come here.
Yeah.
So, and Christopher, I have not brought up Christopher. I have to say something about Christopher before we're done.
Who's playing drums?
That's Jonathan.
Okay.
Jonathan's the youngest, Nicholas the middle. Christopher's my oldest son, and I guess I'm not bringing him up because he's the one that's like an adult now, and he is recently engaged to his girlfriend. I think he's been with since sophomore year of high school, and he bought a home in the Coleraine area.
Outstanding.
So, and he is head chef, or I guess that's what you call him. He's a chef. Right. He got his degree in cooking. He did not get that skill from his mother at all. He didn't. His dad cooks. His mom, no, I'm the cleaner.
Right.
Bob cooks, I clean.
Now, does he charge you and Bob rent when you come to town this day?
Well, hopefully not, because we're on the air mattress that I brought in his living room. So, no.
I like when you guys first moved and you go back to your house that you lived in, but they moved into the master. Sorry, the primary bedroom now, I believe.
The primary bedroom
is the correct term for it.
So they were in the primary bedroom suite of my old home, and we had to be in his old bedroom when we came to visit. And I was just like, huh.
With heart-to-heart posters on the wall.
Right.
The NatiCast is proudly brought to you by Paco Lago Productions. The show is hosted by Tim Barker, Rex Stull, and Ron Thomas. Produced and edited by Matthew Lake and associate produced by Ethan Spanja. Special thanks to Sadie Kern at Pop Gun Flow for the graphics and to Brando Triantafilu for the original theme song. Feel free to follow us at _NatiCast on Instagram or head to our website, thenaticast.com. You can get this show wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time.